The launch of the new FPL game is just around the corner, and we've already had a number of player prices revealed. I made a video last week about the best players to buy in the game, and I'm going to talk about some more in this video. Alright then, the first player that's really caught my eye is Ollie Watkins. I think, looking at his returns that he got last season, right, 19 goals, 18 assists, 37 attacking returns from 37 starts. A player that puts up those kind of numbers at 9 million, I think it's just an absolute bargain. And when you compare him to, I don't know, for example, Erling Haaland, who's 15 million, or Mo Salah, who is 12.5 million, you're getting very similar level of returns to those two players for substantially less money. In my mind, you know, when you think about building a team with the price structures of players that we've seen so far, you know, I've seen people try to force in both Haaland and Salah into their teams. Maybe going for Haaland and Watkins is a way to go, and then that saves you a bit of cash. I don't know, but I think 9 million for a player of the quality of Ollie Watkins, the amount of attacking returns he got last season, is really, really good value. Next up then, it's not the most exciting, I'll admit, but we've got Taylor Harwood-Bellis of Southampton. Now, I just wanted to show, at 4 million, he should be starting for Southampton next season. He played 43 of 46 games in the Championship last year. To be honest, I think it's very rare that a player even misses, you know, less than 5 games in this Championship season. The games are just so thick and fast that injuries, etc., can just be so easily picked up. So playing 43 out of, you know, the 46 games in the Championship is quite an achievement. 2 goals, 3 assists. I mean, it's not a horrendous goal threat, right? It means he'd probably knock in 1 or 2 goals in the Premier League season. And they kept 11 clean sheets in the Championship, 1 in sort of every 4 games. So I'll admit, I don't think Southampton are the best defence in the world. But for me, when I like to build an FPL team, I usually go for, at least on my bench, a 4 million goalkeeper that I think has the most likelihood of starting, a 4.5 million defender for a respectable team that I imagine will get some clean sheets, and I sometimes rotate 2 4.5 million defenders with one another. I go for a minimum price midfielder at 4.5 million, and then if there is a starting 4 million defender, I go for them. Obviously, the game hasn't launched yet. There might be other 4 million defenders that have a really good likelihood of starting, right? But right now, with the prices that we know so far, Taylor Harwood-Bellis at 4 million is the most likely to play, and I think he's going to be a really popular asset, purely for the fact he's the minimum price and he'll start every game. Another player that really excites me, and I actually spoke about Eze in the last video, but we've got a price reveal for him now at 7 million. Now, I just think with Elise leaving Crystal Palace to go to Bayern Munich, obviously there is a bit of a risk, I guess, that Eze joins one of the big teams as well. You know, I think he's good enough to play for one of the top 6 teams, but I just think with Palace selling Elise, it's going to be a tough, you know, selling Eze as well is going to be really tough. They're going to really pump the price up, and I think they'll probably keep hold of him for at least 1 more season. Last season, he was a little bit impacted by, I say a little bit, he missed, 14 games last season through injury. He made 24 starts, scored 11 goals, and got 5 assists, when most of that was under the Roy Hodgson Palace team, which was pretty poor, I would say, scoring goals. Under Glasner, you know, Palace were greatly improved, and I think under Glasner, without Elise, where Eze is the real talisman for Crystal Palace, he's going to play every game, he's going to take the penalties, he's going to take the free kicks. You know, we all saw how good Palace were towards the end of the season, right? And 7 million for a player that does all of those things, I think is fantastic value. All right, we've seen that Cole Palmer's price has been put in at 10.5 million. I've put in that he got 38 assists there. That's a mistake, he got 8. That's a really good price in my mind, because it does make you think twice about whether you actually want to pick him. Now, a player that scores 22 goals and gets 8 assists in a season is obviously a really good level of returns, don't get me wrong. But I personally have my doubts as to whether he can quite replicate those numbers this season. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Cole Palmer is going to fail this season or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just not sure he's going to quite get the numbers that he did last season, particularly, I haven't spoken about him in this video, but with Nkunku coming back into the Chelsea setup, he basically missed the whole of last season, didn't he? I just think he may well take some returns off of Cole Palmer. I obviously think Cole Palmer is going to remain the penalty taker and still be Chelsea's talisman. But I just think those returns will be shared a little bit more, I guess, across the Chelsea team. Do I think Cole Palmer's a good asset and will be a good pick across the season? Absolutely, 100%. If you pick Cole Palmer in your team, I can't really argue with it. But 10.5 million is quite expensive now, and I just question whether he could get the same level of returns this season as he did last. But let me know in the comments what you think about Cole Palmer. And one thing I would say, 10.5 million is a fantastic price because it really makes you think, in my mind at least, really makes me think whether I actually want to pick him in my team. Now, we've had Mateta and Tony both come out at 7.5 million, and we've also had Dominic Solanke come out at 7.5 million, and I think that's a wonderful price for him. I believe he was 6.5 at the start of last season. I think he rose to around 7, and I still think that was a fair price for what he offered. 37 starts, the guy plays every game, plays 90 minutes, takes penalties. Iraola is doing well at Bournemouth. They're playing decent football, and he scored 19 goals. So basically, in half of the appearances he made in the Premier League, he got a goal and 3 assists. 0.59 expected returns per 90 is a really good record. Actually, underlying numbers-wise, I'm pretty sure if you just go back to Ollie Watkins, yeah, underlying numbers-wise, that's pretty close to what Ollie Watkins managed last season. Obviously, Watkins got more returns, of course. But yeah, I like Dominic Solanke at that price. I don't know, people might be put off by the fact he plays for a mid-table team in Bournemouth. That's probably a fair assessment of what Bournemouth are right now, right? But 7.5 million for a striker that plays every game for 90 minutes, takes penalties, got that level of returns last season. I think it's really good value. Now, I think the jury's out as to exactly how Liverpool will line up and play under their new manager Slot. But seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold in the game at 7 million is a really attractive price. And Trent Alexander-Arnold is, just with how good he is from going forwards in an attacking perspective, he's different to other FPL defenders, in my mind at least, because he can legitimately get returns through 3 different means. And he becomes more than just a defender that gets, the odd assist here and there. He becomes a defender that can get regular attacking returns and also clean sheets. If you add up all the returns he got, so for example, you look at Solanke, what's that? 19 goals, 3 assists, so that's 22 attacking returns in 37 starts. Trent made 25 starts. He got 3 goals, 5 assists, so that's 8. And then 8 clean sheets on top of that as well. So 16 attacking returns from 25 starts. He didn't quite get the 0.65 expected returns per 90. But, he's a player that can get attacking returns through 3 different means. 16 returns, 16 returns in 25 starts is a really good record for Trent. I'm fumbling my words out there, but I think you get the point, right, what I'm trying to say. He's a fantastic option, and reducing him in price to 7 million, I think I'm going to be hard-pressed not to pick him, even with, the uncertainty as to how Liverpool will play under Slot. He's going to be in the team, right? There's no question that Trent is not going to start for Liverpool. He's going to be playing a similar role to what he has been doing in seasons gone by. And I wouldn't expect his numbers to change all that much. Obviously, he got impacted last season with a few injuries. Say he makes 30 starts next season, I would expect him to get sort of 5 goals, 8 assists, 8, 9 clean sheets, something like that. And that's worth the money, in my opinion. Final little feature I do is just on the best 4.5 million defenders that I've seen revealed so far. Now, 4.5 million defenders for me, I think everyone's going to have at least 1 or 2 in the teams that they build for FPL next season. And I would say these are the 5 that are the standouts for me so far. Konsa for Aston Villa, a Champions League team now. He's going to play every game, potentially at fullback, depending on exactly what the centre-back partnership is going to be at Villa. I think the jury's still out on exactly how they'll play. I think it could be Pau Torres, Diego Carlos, and maybe Konsa at right back, something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's up to Emery at the end of the day. But Konsa's going to play every game. Emery really, really rates the guy. I remember listening to an interview of Emery talking about Konsa during the Euros, and that he was just saying, he's just bigging him up, basically. So I think he's going to play every game for Villa. And 4.5 million for a Villa defender who's going to play every game, I think is an excellent price. 8 Nori, at times for Wolves last season, he was playing as a left winger. So 4.5 million for the Wolves, potentially left winger class as a defender, I think is great value. He's a really, really talented player. Couple of Palace defenders in Gahey and Richards. Palace now play a back 5. Richards, I believe, is like the central centre-back. Gahey plays on the left-hand side with Anderson on the right-hand side. I think they both probably offer very similar goal threat, right? They don't really offer any attacking threat at all. So the points you'll probably get from them are the odd bonus points and clean sheet points. And Palace, under Glasner, were relatively decent defensively. If I remember back from one of my previous videos, I think they had 14 Premier League games under Glasner and conceded 15 goals. So it's not, horrendous. I think they'll keep some clean sheets across the season. And to be honest, I can't really differentiate between the two. I would say Probably Gahey and Anderson are the two most nailed Palace centre-backs, and Richards probably being like the third. So I'd probably say Gahey is the preference. And then you got Lewis Dunk for Brighton. 4.5 million is a good price for him. He's the club captain. He's going to play every game. Probably offers, you know, apart from Aït-Nouri at least, the most goal threat of all of these players. And he takes the odd occasional free kick as well. And he's really good in the air from corners and free kicks. But I just question exactly how Brighton are going to play under their new manager. I mean, we don't know. They weren't all, in my mind at least, they weren't all that good defensively under De Zerbi. So I think the jury's probably still out on Brighton in terms of how good they will be defensively. But ultimately, I think all 5 of these players on my screen right now, if you picked them in your FPL team next season, they'll do you just fine. All right then, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that. Few more players to talk through with their prices been revealed, etc. Let me know in the comments what you think of the players I've spoken about in this video. You know, tell me what you think about Cole Palmer's price and whether you'll be looking to pick him in your team. If you enjoyed the video and found it useful, please leave me a like rating. You can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel, which should be just there on your screen. You'll see plenty more FPL content coming from me right up until the game launching, and obviously at the start of the season, until the start of the season and beyond as well. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to stick around, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.